Welcome to SREEDHA'S CCE explanation session for model tests SBI Clerk Mains 14631, RBI Assistants Mains 7638. The first 10 questions, questions 51 to 60, they deal with the passage. There's an important passage. Before we go to the passage, let us have a look at the instructions. Read the following passage carefully and answer the questions given after the passage. Certain words or phrases have been printed in bold to help you locate them while answering some of the questions. There's a regular pattern. Of late, we have been getting new patterns. This passage it follows a regular pattern. You may come across 5 questions based on the comprehension skill and 5 questions based on your vocabulary knowledge. This passage, before I read out the sentences, I would like to tell the gist of the passage. This passage is all about illegal immigration to European countries. That is a backdrop. And based on that, the resulting problems related to crime, human trafficking, and money laundering. Against this backdrop, the action taken by the European leaders, and eventually the passage talks about what is good for the European countries and what is good for the second generation and third generation immigrants. This is about the passage in brief, in a nutshell rather. Now, I would like to read out the passage quickly. Wherever I come across important words, I would like to tell the meanings of those words. How does the passage start? Leaders of the 15 European Union governments resolved to create an area of freedom, justice, and security across their national frontiers. It talks about what exactly the leaders of the 15 European Union governments, what resolution they have taken. They have resolved to create an area of freedom, justice, and security across their national frontiers. This would make it harder for criminals to engage in cross-border crimes. And what is the impact of this? This would make it harder for criminals to engage in cross-border crimes, which include trafficking in human beings, drugs, money laundering, and above all, keeping out hordes of bogus political asylum seekers from poor countries. It talks about what is the impact of this particular resolution. It is going to put a check to different problems they have been encountering or they have been facing. One is human trafficking. Trafficking is an important word. You got to be careful with the spelling. Trafficking, Trafficking. Trafficking means illegal movement of something or someone. Human trafficking, illegally sending people from one country to another country, and that is also known as illegal immigration. Drugs, rather easy to understand. Money laundering, that's an important expression. And as a prospective banker, you have to know the meaning of the expression money laundering. Money laundering means you get illegal money or you get money illegally, and you try to pass that money through the banks in a legal manner, and you try to show that money as a legal thing. That's what it means, money laundering. And these illegal immigrants are seen essentially as economic migrants. How are these viewed, the illegal migrants? They are seen essentially as economic migrants. There's a question related to that. You see some words in yellow, that means based on that particular point, there's a question. The European Union leaders have agreed on a 10-point plan to crack down on organized crime and create a common system for political asylum seekers. There's another expression. This passage is all about providing political asylum to refugees from poor countries. And what is the meaning of the word asylum? Asylum has got 2 different meanings. One meaning of asylum, it goes with everyday English. It is a place for lunatics. In our country, we say mental hospital, but in the Western countries, they find this expression rather harsh, and they try to use one euphemism. And what is the expression for that? Asylum, a place for lunatics, mentally disturbed people. But in this context, it doesn't take that much particular meaning. There is another meaning of the word asylum. In this context, the second meaning goes with this context. Asylum means to provide shelter. Political asylum seekers. The aim is to strengthen the basic rights of some 320 million European Union citizens and long-term non-European residents in the European Union. What is the objective of this? The objective of this the aim is to strengthen the basic rights of some 320 million European Union citizens and long-term non-European residents in the European Union. This is also to ensure that the illegal immigrants do not exploit differing legal systems within the European Union for their own ends. It also puts a check and it goes against exploiting differing legal systems within the European Union for their own ends. Years of sustained migration to European Union countries generally and Germany particularly has given the impression that the right to political asylum granted in Germany was practically a right to illegal immigration. That was the impression created, especially Germany, when it comes to Germany. What is that impression? The political asylum provided by Germany is considered, what is the impression? The impression is that the right to political asylum granted in Germany was practically a right to illegal immigration. The West German government, in pre-unification years, adopted generous laws related to political asylum, particularly to enable East Germans under communist rule to migrate to West Germany. Here the passage provides the background information. In the process, thousands of North African, because of liberal migration policies or the stand taken by West German government, the impact of that. In the process, what exactly happened? In the process, thousands of North African Arabs, Iranians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, and citizens of black African countries exploited these to enter Germany. That was a negative impact. The mounting abuse of the rules to asylum in Germany, the Benelux region, and Britain sparked a debate on a new policy on aliens. There are two important words here. One is expression rather, sparked a debate. Spark in this context means to start. Start a debate on a new policy on aliens. And there's one more word, abuse, the mounting abuse. The word abuse has two different meanings. One goes with everyday English, the other goes with effective English or formal English. Everyday English, what is the meaning of the word abuse? Abuse means to shout at someone using bad words. He abused me, general sentence. And in this context, effective English or formal English, the word abuse means misuse. Usually it goes with misuse of power, misuse of authority. In this context, misuse of the rules to asylum in Germany. And one more word here, aliens. The word aliens, usually it refers to life from the other planets and animals from the other planets. And we also use the expression extraterrestrial, ET. But in this context, it means strangers or foreigners. In Germany, the right of asylum is guaranteed in the Constitution. In other European Union states, granting asylum is at the discretion of the local immigration authority. In Germany, it is the constitutional right, but in other European Union states, granting asylum is at the discretion of the local immigration authority. There's an important word here, discretion. The ability to decide what is right, what is wrong, or the ability to decide what to do. Under the proposed reforms, all the European Union states will have common asylum and immigration laws. With the unification of Germany and the collapse of the Soviet Union and communist rule in Eastern and Central Europe, migration to Western Europe began in earnest. It again provides the background information. There's one important expression here. It began in earnest. The word earnest means to do something sincerely and seriously. The crisis, that's an important word. Crisis, singular, crisis, plural. You have to remember that is important from the exam point of view. The crises were immensely compounded in the early 90s by the advent of ethnic and civil wars in the Balkans. There are a few words which are very important from the exam point of view. One is crisis, singular, plural, crisis. That is important from the exam point of view. It comes under nouns. And compounded. Compound means to make something worse. Changing the situation from bad to worse, we use the word compound, to make something worse. One more word, advent. Advent means something at the beginning of something or when something happens. Arrival of something. Advent of something means arrival of something. And there's one more word, ethnic. Ethnic means traditional. The typical combinations or collocations are ethnic wear, ethnic fashion, ethnic people, ethnic traditions. Nearly 7 or 8 million foreigners live in Germany. 7 to 8 million foreigners live in Germany, 9 to 10% of its population. In France, about 5%. A quarter of them are from neighboring European Union states. The largest single ethnic minority in Germany are the Turks, who now number nearly 2 million, and over half of them are born in Germany. That means the second generation. The second largest ethnic minority comes from former Yugoslavia, and this numbers over 1 million. There are about 20,000 people of Indian origin in Germany, mainly professionals and students. This talks about, all these sentences talk about the percentage of the migrants, how many Turks are there, how many people from the former Yugoslavia, and how many Indians, about 20,000, and most of these are professionals and students. The illegal immigrants' poverty and dependence on social welfare facilities have triggered much racism and xenophobia in most European societies. This talks about the major problem. One is human trafficking, another crime, the third one money laundering. But of late, it has resulted in two things. One, racism, and the other, xenophobia. So what are the words worth learning from this sentence? One is racism, that is rather easy, should not be a problem. But xenophobia, that is an important word. It has been in the limelight. What is the meaning of the word xenophobia? Xenophobia means fear of foreigners. Phobia means fear. And xenophobia, fear of foreigners in most European societies. In France, Italy, and Austria, the illegal immigrants have triggered a major debate about race issues. With the rising tide of racism, right-wing xenophobic political groups and parties have made impressive electoral gains in recent elections. The proposed cooperation between 15 member states on justice and home affairs may pave the way for pan-European cooperation and integration and could diffuse xenophobic tensions. There is one important expression here, may pave the way, may show the way, may provide the way. The proposed cooperation between 15 member states on justice and home affairs may pave the way for pan-European. Pan-European, that's an important expression. It means across Europe. Pan-India, pan-European, pan-American. Cooperation and integration and could diffuse xenophobic tensions. Diffuse, an important word. It is different from diffuse. Diffuse means to reduce the tensions, that is one meaning, and to remove the fuse, another meaning. Diffuse, D-I-F-F-U-S-E, diffuse, not distinct, not clear, spread over a large area or a large number of people. And xenophobic tensions, already have got the word xenophobia. What is the meaning of that? Fear of foreigners. Against this backdrop, the European Union leaders have made a commitment to fight serious organized crime and pledged, that's an important word, pledge, to take a solemn promise or undertaking, pledged practical steps to boost cooperation across the European Union between the police and the prosecutors. A silver lining on the horizon, this is an important expression. Silver lining, there's one idiomatic expression. Every cloud has a silver lining. What does it mean? Every problem has a solution. In a difficult situation, there is some hope. Silver lining means hope. A silver lining on the horizon is that a vast majority of the illegal immigrants are young and are in a fast-growing European continent, where, if the present demographic trend continues, there will be more pensioners than taxpayers in the next few decades. European countries are known as, I read this way back in 90s, a few, not all of them, a few of them, they are referred to as dying societies. That means what? They haven't been producing no new generations, and the present generation, they have become old, and because of that, what happens? You come across a lot of pensioners, you don't come across taxpayers. This is the situation in many European countries today. So the sentence talks about what exactly happens eventually. A silver lining on the horizon is that a vast majority of the illegal immigrants are young and are in a fast-growing European continent where, if the present demographic trend continues, means old people keep continuing, that trend continues, no young generation, there will be more pensioners than taxpayers in the next few decades. Experts point out that with the proposed expansion of the European Union, the mass migration from Eastern and Central Europe to Western Europe may continue unabated without any reduction. Unabated, that's an important word. The foreigners on their part are expected to fully integrate with host communities and restore West European values, living standards, and social conventions. This sentence talks about what is expected from the foreigners. The foreigners on their part are expected to fully integrate with host communities and restore West European values, living standards, and social conventions. But this will happen only with the emergence of the second and third generation of migrants who will increasingly identify themselves with the indigenous population. Generally, we talk about people, we use expressions like the first generation, the second generation, the third generation. Those who go abroad for the first time, they are known as the first generation. Their children born in that particular country, they are known as the second generation. And their children, in turn, they are known as the third generation. So this sentence talks about what is expected from the second generation and third generation of migrants, and they should be part of the mainstream culture of Western Europe. That's what it talks about. And they should identify themselves with the indigenous population. There's one important expression here, indigenous. Indigenous means local or native. Perhaps this may herald the decline of racism and xenophobia in European societies. Perhaps, maybe, this may herald, that's an important word. Herald means it may assign that something positive is going to happen. And it may herald what? The decline of racism and xenophobia in European societies. An interesting passage, it talks about the present situation in many European countries, and the two words racism and xenophobia, they have been in the limelight. Right now they are in the limelight, and from that angle, it's an important passage, and you may get in the exam, there's every possibility. Let us have a look at the questions. Question number 51. Why are the majority of the illegal migrants termed as economic migrants? Whenever you come across a question related to the passage, when you read the question, you should always focus on the key words. What are the key words here? Economic migrants. Why are they called economic migrants? Excuse me. Why are they called economic migrants? What are the key terms here? Economic, that's an important word. What is the first option? These migrants seek economic benefits in the guise of seeking political asylum. Economic migrants, economic benefits. You may think this is the right option, but we have to look at other options as well. What is the second option here? The migrants indulge in cross-border crimes like drug trafficking. Indulge is an important word. Indulge means what? To allow oneself to enjoy the pleasure of something. But it doesn't go with this context. And the second option is not correct. The migrants indulge in cross-border crimes like drug trafficking. Then it doesn't go with the word economic migrants. The third option, the migrants exploit the liberal economy of the asylum-providing country. This is also not correct. And the fourth option, migrants make money through laundering. That is also not right. So what is the answer here? And how can we say this is the answer? You can have a look at this box. The words are in yellow color. It has been taken from the passage. How does it go? The illegal immigrants' poverty and dependence on social welfare facilities have triggered much racism and xenophobia in most European societies. Here it talks about the economic benefits, obviously. Based on this, the answer is the first option. What is the answer? Why are they called the illegal migrants? Why are they termed as economic migrants? Because these migrants seek, basically they are poverty-stricken and they want to depend on social welfare facilities. These migrants seek economic benefits in the guise of seeking political asylum. Question number 52. What has prompted the European Union to make drastic changes in the system of granting political asylum? The backdrop says because of liberal political asylum policies, they had to experience a lot of problems like money laundering, human trafficking, and crime. Based on that backdrop, the European Union, something has prompted the European Union to make drastic changes. So what has prompted, the question says, what has prompted the European Union to make drastic changes in the system of granting political asylum? Let us have a look at the options. Option 1, to create an atmosphere of freedom, fraternity, and liberty. No, that is not the answer. It has to deal with the problems, one of the problems, to prevent the pillaging of their economy, not the major problem. The root cause, you have to get the option that talks about the root cause. To check the increase in crime along their frontiers, it is one of the problems but not the major problem, that is not the root cause. To ensure a uniform code of law for their own citizens, not correct. What is the fifth option here? A deluge of illegal migrants. There is one important word here, deluge. Deluge actually means floods, but in this context it means a lot of illegal migrants entering European Union countries. There's another word, influx. You're going to come across that word later. Influx means a lot of people entering a particular region. Influx of migrants, deluge of illegal migrants. And there's one sentence here from the passage, you can see in the box. The European Union leaders have agreed on a 10-point plan to crack down on organized crime. That has been prompted based on the crime, to crack down on organized crime and create a common system for political asylum seekers. The objective is to crack down organized to plan. They wanted a 10-point plan to crack down on organized crime. That is objective. In this context, what is organized crime? It is all about the influx of illegal immigrants. Question number 53. Which of the following statements is or are true, is or are responsible for aggravating the crisis of illegal migration? Aggravating, to take something from bad to worse. Generally, we say, don't aggravate the situation. Which of the following statements is or are responsible for aggravating the crisis of illegal migration? 1, the unification of Germany. 2, the breaking up of the USSR. 3, the proposed expansion of the European Union. Again, there is one sentence given in the passage, that is in the box. With the unification of Germany and the collapse of the Soviet Union and communist rule in Eastern and Central Europe, migration to Western Europe began in earnest. So based on this, what is given in the passage, the first option is correct, the second option is correct, but the proposed expansion of the European Union, that has nothing to do with the entry of or influx of illegal immigrants. So based on that, what is the answer? The fourth option is the answer, only A and B. And here there is one expression, question number 54. What does money laundering imply? What does it mean? You can have a look at the meaning. What is the meaning of money laundering? The crime of moving money that has been obtained illegally through banks as legally obtained. The crime, it's a crime. What is this crime? The crime of moving money that has been obtained illegally, moving through banks as legally obtained. That's an important expression. As a prospective banker, you should know the meaning of the expression money laundering. Now, what is the answer here? A launderate deal, that's not correct. Financial transaction, not correct. Disposing of money, not correct. Financial gain, not correct. So what is the answer? None of these is the answer. Question number 55. What has caused a sudden spurt in xenophobic tensions? Sudden spurt, sudden increase, sudden something like the number goes up. Sudden spurt in xenophobic tensions. Violation of basic rights of the European Union citizens, that is not correct. The Constitution providing a right to seek political asylum, that is also not correct. Increase in cross-border crime. Hold that one. The unceasing influx of illegal migrants in the European Union member states. Ethnic and civil wars raging in the Asian countries. Fifth option is ruled out because the context of the passage is all about European countries, not about Asian countries. Now, violation of basic rights of the European Union citizens, not correct. The Constitution providing a right to seek political asylum, no, not at all. Increase in cross-border crime could be one of the problems. The unceasing influx of illegal migrants in the European Union member states. This is the root cause. Based on that, what is the answer? The fourth option is the answer. The increasing influx, that's an important word. Influx means a lot of people or a lot of things entering a particular place. Then we use the word influx. In this context, influx of illegal migrants. Question number 56. What measures have the European Union taken to curb illegal migration? Curb, to control, to check, to prevent. What measures? The question talks about what measures have the European Union taken to curb illegal migration. Again, there's one sentence in the passage. The European Union leaders have agreed on a 10-point plan to crack down on organized crime. Here the crime, the major thing when it comes to organized crime in this context, it is nothing but illegal immigration. Based on that, what is the answer? The first option is the answer. What measures have been taken? A 10-point plan that proposes cooperation of the European Union members on justice, common asylum, and immigration laws. Immigration laws, that is very important, and also common asylum, that is also important. Let us look at other options. A proposed plan to check mass migration from Western Europe to Central, that is not correct. The right-wing political parties, nothing to do with political parties. The indigenous population and European Union citizens to get the upper hand, that is also not correct. And there is an important word here, indigenous population. Indigenous means local. Usually it goes with indigenous industries, indigenous people. And what are the other words for indigenous? Aboriginals or native people. Aboriginals also means indigenous people. Questions 57 and 58, they deal with synonyms. And what is the question number 57? What is a synonym or same in meaning? And the word is asylum. I have already said asylum has got two different meanings. And before I tell the meanings, let us have a look at the context. You can see here the context. What is the context here? This would make it harder for criminals to engage in cross-border crimes, which include trafficking in human beings, drugs, money laundering, and above all, keeping out hordes of bogus political asylum seekers from poor countries. There is one word, hordes, means groups, bogus, fake political asylum seekers. As I said, the context is providing shelter. Let us have a look at the options. Protect, hold that one. Grant, hold that also. Foreign intervention, not correct. Refuge. Refuge means to provide shelter. Asylum also means provide shelter. Answer is the fourth option. Shield means protect. So protect, shield, they are general, not specific. They convey the connotation or the meaning, protect. But here, refuge, asylum means to provide shelter. Refuge also means provide shelter. Have a look at the meanings of the words. Asylum, political shelter for refugees. Refugees, that's an important word. Those who migrate, move from one country to another country. For those people, what is the word? Refugee. But sometimes what happens? Someone commits a crime in one particular country, then he goes to another country. For that person, we don't use the word refugee. We use the word fugitive. And today, there's one typical example. Who is considered a fugitive? Vijay Mallya is considered a fugitive. Fugitive means a person who commits crime in a particular country and goes to some other country. But refugee, a person who migrates from one country to another country. And shield means protect. Refuge, a place providing safety or shelter. Asylum providing shelter, political shelter. And refuge also talks about safety. Now, 58 compounded. Let us have a look at the context. The context is here. The crises were immensely compounded in the early 90s by the advent of ethnic and civil wars in the Balkans. Compounded, compound means what? Make something worse. Have a look at the meaning. Compounded, make something worse. Compounded, complex, not correct. Intricate. What is the meaning of the word intricate? Very complicated or detailed. Usually it goes with design. Intricate design. So not correct here. and worsened. Make something worse, worsened. Obviously, the answer is the third option. Mixed, not correct. Settled, not correct. Question number 59 and 60. Questions 59 and 60, they deal with opposite meaning or antonyms. Question number 59, diffuse. It is not diffuse, diffuse. What is the meaning of the word diffuse? Remove the fuse, one meaning, but that doesn't go with this context. What is the other meaning? Make a situation less tense, decrease the tensions. He wants the opposite. Infuse means fill, F-I-L-L, fill, not correct. Detonate means explode or cause to explode. This goes with bombs. Detonated the bomb, not correct. Not relevant, rather. Spread, hold this one. And not relevant actually. Speed also not relevant. Decrease, what is opposite? Increase. What is the other word for increase? Boost. Earnest, what is the context? With the unification of Germany and the collapse of the Soviet Union and communist rule in Eastern and Central Europe, migration to Western Europe began in earnest. Earnest means very serious and sincere. When you're serious about something, you're sincere about something, you try to be very active, you try to be proactive, and you try to do things quickly. He wants the opposite. Energetic, a positive word, but he wants the opposite. It has to be a negative word, not correct. Fake, not relevant here. Nutter, nut. There's one idiomatic expression. It is a hard nut to crack, means a difficult problem. One more expression, he is a hard nut to crack, a difficult person to deal with. Nutter means eccentric person. There's one more important word here, ostensible. Ostensible means appearing to be true but not necessarily so. That's an important word. That is not correct. Here, earnest means serious and sincere. When you're sincere about something, you try to be very active and you try to be proactive. What is the meaning of the word sluggish? Slow moving or inactive. Earnest, active, opposite, inactive. So what is the answer based on that? Sluggish is the answer. The next 5 questions deal with fillers, double fillers. Each question below has 2 blanks, each blank indicating that something has been omitted. Find out which option can be used to fill up the blank in the sentence in the same sequence to make it meaningfully complete. Whenever you come across double fillers, questions related to double fillers, do remember you have to use your grammar knowledge and you have to take the elimination approach. But quite often, nowadays, the questions are very difficult. A few questions you can answer based on your grammar knowledge, but a lot of questions depend on what I call contextual awareness. You should know the context, you should have some awareness about the context, then the question becomes an easy question. You may ask, so what is this contextual awareness? How do we get it? Contextual awareness means awareness about the context. What does the sentence talk about? What is the context that goes with the sentence? The second question, how do we become good at contextual awareness? The answer for that, you have to read extensively. When you read a lot of articles from magazines, books, or newspapers, you get exposed to a variety of contexts. That will help you in developing contextual awareness. And when you use your grammar knowledge, if you use your grammar knowledge, you have to check all the options. That takes a lot of time. But if you are good at contextual awareness, something pleasant and surprising happens. What happens? Before you see the options, you will be able to think of the right words. Then you go to the options, you see those words, you know for sure that is the answer. So contextual awareness is more important. Do remember that. Let us have a look at question number 61. A boy died from, he received after being beaten up by his teacher. Here the context, the clue for you from, the preposition. A boy died from abrasion. You can have a look at these, the words and the meanings. Abrasion, what is the meaning? The process of scraping something away, the process of removing something away. It is not relevant here. So one word is not relevant, you can reject that option. Option 1 is not correct. A boy died from injuries. That is a typical expression. He died from injuries. Seems right. He received after being allegedly beaten up by his teacher. Allegedly, that's an important word. Allegation, accusation. Do you say something has done something wrong without any proof? Then we use the word accusation or allegation. This also seems right. It's an adverb. Hold that one. Infliction. What is the meaning of the word infliction? The action of inflicting pain, cause pain. That's an important word. But from infliction, not correct. You don't die because of pain. Hardly beaten up. Hardly is an important word from the exam point of view. Hard, hardly. What is the difference? The word hard is an adjective and also an adverb. He is a hard worker. Hard worker. Worker, noun, hard worker. Hard is adjective. He works hard. How does he work? Hard. Here it is an adverb. But there is another word, hardly. That is only an adverb. It has a negative connotation. What is the meaning of the word hardly? He hardly works. Means he doesn't work at all. So it doesn't go with this context. Hardly beaten up. Then the boy does not die. So not correct. Reject the third option based on the word hardly. The next option, casualty. Died from casualty, not correct grammatically, contextually also. Please excuse me. Not correct grammatically and contextually. Purportedly. That means something appears to be true, but it is not true. Not relevant in this context. What is the fifth option? Died from agony. Here, infliction causing pain, agony also means the same. Agony means severe pain. A person does not die because of pain. That is not right. So reject. Severely beaten up by his teacher. Seems right, but already we have rejected. Based on that, a boy died from, usually people die because of injuries. When someone dies because of injuries, then there is one important word. If you read the newspapers, you come across this. Succumb. He succumbed to injuries, a typical newspaper expression. Means what? He died because of injuries or he died from injuries. This is correct. He received after being allegedly beaten up by his teacher. So what is the answer? Second option is the answer. Let us move on to the next question, question number 62. Agricultural scientists told them that the was mainly due to soil health. The clue for you here, scientists wanting soil health, and that they needed to follow zero-till farming method. What is the first option? Agricultural scientists told them that the crisis was mainly due to a crisis, an important, a difficult situation, a problematic situation. The crisis was mainly due to deteriorating soil health. That's an important word, deteriorate. Have a look at the meaning of the word deteriorate. Deteriorate means what? Becoming progressively worse. Generally, it goes with deteriorating standards. When we talk about education, we use the expression, the standards have been deteriorating. Remember that combination? This pair seems right. Hold that one. What is the next one? Agricultural scientists told them that the catastrophe, that's an important word, catastrophe means a major disaster. Here it is not a disaster. Usually catastrophe goes with earthquake, tsunami, something related to nature, a natural disaster, a major natural disaster. We use the word catastrophe. Not relevant in this context. Adulterated, that's an important word. Adulterate means to make something impure. What are the typical collocations? Adulterated food, adulterated milk. Today you come across adulterated liquor also. Then we use the expression illicit liquor. One of the meanings of illicit liquor, adulterated liquor. And this is not correct. Let us have a look at the third option. Change, that the change was mainly due to non-productive soil health. The change, then they don't have to talk about, the context talks about something, a major problem. Then we don't use a simple word like change, not correct. Trouble, the trouble was mainly due to. The word trouble doesn't go with this context. The problem was due to weak health, soil health. So weak soil health, that is not the right combination. The word weak goes with persons and animals, not with soil health. So what is the answer based on that? The crisis, that's a word that goes with effective English. Do remember, whenever you go for the options, sometimes you come across a simple word, a word that goes with everyday English. At the same time, synonym, a word that goes with effective English. Always try to go for the word that goes with effective English. Crisis. The crisis was mainly due to deteriorating soil health. That's a perfect word. So what is the answer? First option is the answer. Question number 63. It is how this color has the feminine space in India. It is bewildering. That's an important word. What is the meaning of that? You can have a look here. Bewildering means confusing or perplexing. It goes with effective English. It is bewildering how this color has affected the feminine space in India. We don't use the word confusing. The context doesn't talk about confusing. It talks more about surprising. So don't consider this option. But this word is very important from the exam point of view. Affected, there's one word, one more. Affected and affected. What is the difference? Affected, affected. Affect, affected, affected. That's a verb. Effect is a verb, both a verb and a noun. But generally we use it as a noun, not as a verb. It is as a verb, it is a literary expression. So not correct. But do remember, affected, affect is a verb, usage point of view. Effect is a noun. That's very important from the exam point of view. Astonishing means surprising. It is astonishing how this color has busted. Busted doesn't go with this context. What is the meaning of the word? Astonishing means surprising a lot. Astonishing is right, but not the word busted. Busted goes with police. One meaning of busted, break. Another meaning, a raid or search. The police busted the locality, busted the area, busted the apartment. Means what? Raided the apartment, searched the apartment. Prodigious. Prodigious, that's an important word. Prodigious means remarkably great or impressive. It doesn't go with this context. Prodigious, an important word. Apprehended, another important word. Arrested. Apprehend has many meanings. One of the meanings, apprehended means arrested. The noun form of this word, apprehend, apprehended, apprehension. Quite often we use this word as a noun. Apprehension means a feeling that something negative is going to happen. I have my own apprehensions when it comes to technology. Means a negative feeling, a feeling that something negative is going to happen. This is not relevant here. Amazing, astonishing, amazing, synonyms. Surprising a lot, surprising a lot. And captured, this seems right. It is amazing how this color has captured the feminine space in India. This seems right. Hold this one. Markable is not correct. Arrested is not relevant. So what is the answer? The fourth option is the answer. It is amazing how this color has captured the feminine space in India. Question number 64. The makeup of the syllabus, students to have a wide of knowledge. Seeks students to have a wide variation of knowledge. The word variation is not correct. Also in this context, we don't use the word seeks. What is the meaning? Already you have got busted, you have got prodigious, apprehended, amazing, seek. You're all job seekers. Seek means what? Attempt to find, ask for, another meaning. First option is not correct. Seems correct but not correct. The syllabus desires the students to have a wide type of knowledge, not correct. The syllabus expects students to have a wide variety of knowledge. This seems right. Hold this one. The syllabus wants students to have a wide scope of knowledge, not correct. So what is the answer? Expect students to have a wide variety of knowledge. Answer is the third option, and helps, not correct. Wide sort of knowledge is also not correct. Question number 65. This is an important question, a little difficult. A coaching center is a vital in the total game plan. So what does it mean? Let us go with the first option. Choosing a coaching center is a vital course. We don't use the word course here. So reject the first option based on the second word. Course is not correct. Referring a coaching center is a vital angle. We don't use the word angle. Consulting a coaching center is a vital way. We don't use the word way here. Considering a coaching center is a vital thing in the total game plan. This seems right. Hold this one. Selecting a coaching center is a vital aspect in the total game plan. This also seems right. But here it is not selecting a coaching center. Selecting a good coaching center would have been appropriate. Here, considering, thinking of a coaching center is a vital thing, important thing in the total game plan. Answer is the fourth option. The next 5 questions deal with para-jumble. What is a para-jumble? You come across 5 sentences. They take a paragraph, they shuffle the sentences in the paragraph, and you have to get the correct order. Para, short form for paragraph, jumble, to shuffle. So let us have a look at the 5 parts. And usually I tell students, when it comes to para-jumbles, in the past they were rather easy, but of late they have become very tough. But whatever the level of difficulty, do remember, if you take the elimination approach, you can get the first sentence. 1 mark is assured. So what is that elimination approach? Any sentence that has a demonstrative pronoun or a demonstrative adjective cannot be the first sentence. You have to eliminate. Any sentence that has a pronoun cannot be the first sentence. You have to eliminate. Any sentence that has a definite article the cannot be the first sentence. You have to eliminate. But for this, exceptions are there. Any sentence that begins with a contrasting word cannot be the first sentence. You have to eliminate. Any sentence that begins with a conjunction cannot be the first sentence. You have to eliminate. Now let us try that elimination approach here, and let us try to get the first sentence. With this continuous intervention, this a demonstrative adjective, so cannot be the first sentence. This influence noun, this adjective, demonstrative adjective, cannot be the first sentence. Finally, the word finally goes with the last sentence, cannot be the first sentence. Reject that one. Behavior-based safety is a program. Hold this one. This is based, demonstrative pronoun, cannot be the first sentence. So obviously, what is the first sentence here? This paragraph is all about, every paragraph has the topic sentence. In that sentence, you have the main idea. That goes with the paragraph. Behavior-based safety, BBS, is a program that aims at increasing safety during road freight transport by positively influencing the behavior of drivers. This talks about a program. What is the objective of the program? Influencing the behavior of drivers. Now, generally, when you come across the para-jumble, you have to think of pairs of sentences or related sentences. And you have to look for the key words or the clues. There's one word here, influencing. Where do you find the word influence in the same form or some other form? Influenced here, and also in the second, influence. You have to decide either B can be the second sentence or E can be the second sentence. This is based on the assumption. What is based on the assumption? The objective, the program. This is based on the assumption that the behavior of drivers can be influenced through observation, coaching, and communication. Based on that, the continuity is there, so the second sentence is E. Then the third sentence, again related to the influence. This influence is not intended to be a one-off exercise, one-time exercise, but the BBS should rather become a continuous effort by every transport company. 3 sentences go with one idea. Then there's one clue for you for the fourth sentence, continuous effort. With this continuous intervention, continuous effort, continuous intervention, obviously the fourth sentence is A. With this continuous intervention, it is expected that BBS program will not only improve safety performance, but will also have a positive effect on fuel consumption and other related costs. Not only, but also, you have to remember that goes with parallel expression. And now what are you left with? Finally, obviously the word finally goes with the last sentence. Finally, in the long run, that's an important phrase. In the long run, what will happen? It will improve the total cost effectiveness of the transport companies. So what is the correct order? D, E, B, after that A and C. That is the correct order. An easy para-jumble. The next 5 questions deal with spot the errors. 71 to 75. Read each sentence to find out whether there is any grammatical error or idiomatic error in it. The number of that part is the answer. If there is no error, the answer is option number 5. That is no error. Ignore error of punctuation, if any. All the 5 questions are rather easy, should not be a problem. The youth did not dare. That's an important expression. The youth did not dare. This is in past tense negative. I would like to spend a few minutes on an important rule that goes with past tense, affirmative form and interrogative forms. Not affirmative, interrogative and negative forms. And it goes with common errors. Usually in our country, people don't make a mistake when it comes to past tense affirmative form, but they make a mistake when it comes to interrogative or negative form. So what is that mistake? I'll make a sentence first in past tense affirmative. I completed or he completed the work yesterday. He completed the work yesterday. This is affirmative past tense. Interrogative, did he completed the work yesterday? Negative, he did not completed the work yesterday. Here, interrogative and negative, they are not in the correct form. That's a common error. Many people, those who are not good at English and those who are reasonably good at English also, they make this mistake. Here, they use a logic. What is a logic? It is past tense, we have to use the past form. But there is an important rule here. Because it is past tense, the rule says there are 2 verbs in interrogative form and negative form. Did, one, and the main verb. What is the rule? If the sentence is in past tense, it is in interrogative form or negative form, then you should use the past form for the first verb and the basic form without to for the second verb. And the basic form without to is known as bare infinitive. So what is the rule? First verb you have to use the past form. Second, the main verb you have to use the bare infinitive form. That is an important rule. And many exams, they are given questions based on this particular rule. There's nothing wrong with this. The youth did not dare to venture with the sea as it was high tide. Venture, that's an important word. And the question is about prepositional combination. Venture with is not correct in this context. Venture into. What is the correct preposition? Venture into the sea as it was high tide. Go into the sea as it was high tide. This question is related to prepositional combination. Sentence number of question number 72. Actual sentence, I know a young sales manager who is about to resign from his job despite his success in the organization. Remove that I know. Then how does the sentence go? A young sales manager who is about to. Here you cannot use a relative pronoun who. It is not required. Without that, the sentence is correct. How does the sentence go without the relative pronoun who? A young sales manager is about to resign from his job despite his success in the organization. That is a correct sentence. And there is one important word from the exam point of view, despite. Despite, in spite of. These two are prepositions and they express a contrast. Despite is a little more formal than in spite of. And in the exam, they may give the combination despite of. But do remember the word despite never takes the preposition of. That is one thing you have to remember. And in our country, a lot of people write in spite of as 2 words. That is wrong. In spite of 3 separate words. They have given in a few exams. Do remember, in spite of, not 2 words. In spite of, not correct. In spite of, you have to write 3 separate words. Now, question number 73. The difference between a successful person. There are 2 errors in this. I have corrected one of them. A successful person. In the actual sentence, you don't see the indefinite article a. The difference between a successful person and others is not lack of knowledge, but a lack of will. Generally, we don't use the word, the indefinite article a before the word lack. But here, the sentence, actual sentence, here it is a phrase. When you use a phrase, you can use the indefinite article a. This question is based on parallel expression. So where is the error? A lack of knowledge. The difference between a successful person, one error, and others is not a lack of knowledge, but a lack of will. So there is an error in the third part. There is also an error in the first part. But the question talks about only one error. Sometimes it does happen. You don't have to focus on that much. Sentence number 74. After my interview by the selection panel, I was waiting for a response, but they did not revert back. This is an easy one. This goes with redundancy. Revert means get back. After the word revert, you should not use the word back. That is the error. If you go to the IT sector, the private industry, private sector, quite often people say, I will revert back to you. That is not correct. That's a common error. I will revert. That's enough. I will revert back is not correct. What is the reason? Revert means get back. The sentence number 75 or question number 75. The teacher uses anecdotes to help her students relate better to the subjects taught in class. The teacher uses, the sentence is in present tense, the subject is third person singular, affirmative form, then we should add s or es to the verb, uses, nothing wrong with this part. The teacher uses anecdotes, real experiences, and we use experiences or incidents as examples. Then the meaning of the word anecdotes means using experiences or incidents as examples. Anecdotes to help her students, nothing wrong with that. Why? Relate better to what? To the subjects were taught in class. So the answer for this, there is no error. Answer is the fifth option. Do remember, whenever you have to choose the fifth option, do respect the fifth option, no error. Whenever you have to choose the fifth option, no error, you got to be very careful. You have to divide the sentence into first subject, verb, object, the basic pattern. After that, you have to focus on the phrases and the clauses. In each phrase, you have to look for the error. And after that, finally, you have to decide and you have to make sure there is no error. And you have to go for the fifth option, no error. The next 10 questions go with closed test. Closed test, you can select a few blanks, the answers for a few blanks based on grammar knowledge. But nowadays, many questions depend on contextual awareness. That is very important. And there's a difference between getting the answer based on grammar knowledge, getting the answer based on contextual awareness. If you ask me, sir, what is the difference? If you depend on grammar knowledge, first problem, you cannot answer all the questions, perhaps 5 questions out of 10. Second, you need to spend a lot of time. If you have to use the elimination approach, grammar knowledge, you have to look at all the options, you have to take the elimination approach. That takes a lot of time. And if you take contextual awareness approach, when you see the blank, you understand the context, you are aware of the context, you see the blank, before you see the options, a few words pop up in your mind. You think of a few words, and you know for sure those words have to be among the options. Then you see those words, that is the answer. That saves your time, and you will answer the question with a broad smile, because you know for sure in that particular context, that particular word goes. And there is no ambiguity whatsoever. But grammar knowledge, there is some sort of ambiguity. You cannot be damn sure about your answer. Now, what is this context? All said and done, this passage, closed test passage, what is the context? It is all about vaccine, it is all about diseases, it is all about pediatrics, it is all about vaccine industry, how they have been influencing Indian Academy of Pediatrics. I will start reading the sentences. With the doctors prescribing unnecessary vaccines to children and making hefty profits, that's an important word, hefty means huge profits, on this making news, it has been alleged that, accused that, pointed out that the Indian Academy of Pediatrics is being by the vaccine industry to promote vaccines in an unethical manner. Ethics, values, ethical, value-oriented, unethical, not value-oriented. That's an important word. Now here, when you read the sentence, first the context is about the vaccine industry influencing the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. The context is negative. That is obvious. It goes with the vaccine industry. It goes with the field of pediatrics, medical, another context, medical context. But is being, when you see the word being, this is the helping verb to be in the present participle form. Always remember, is being, then the word has to be in past participle. When you see is being, you should think of passive voice. And always remember, any sentence in passive voice, any tense, continuous tense, simple tense, perfect tense, any sentence using helping verbs in passive voice, the main verb should be in past participle form. Once you recollect that, 1 second you can get the answer. How many options are there in past participle form? Only one option, that is your answer. Feature not correct, frame not correct, importance not correct, inferiority not correct. There's only one verb in the past participle form. What is it? Influence, influenced, influenced. It's a regular verb. And whenever you come across a question related to passive voice or a question related to indirect speech, immediately ask yourself the question, do I know this sentence in active voice? What is a sentence in active voice? The vaccine industry is influencing the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. That is actual sentence in active voice. The vaccine industry is influencing the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. When you change it to passive voice, how does it go? The Indian Academy of Pediatrics is being influenced by the vaccine industry. Once you know that, you can feel comfortable and you know for sure that is the answer. Doctors and professional bodies have instead raised concerns that such untrue stories make communities lose confidence in immunization programs, threatening the off-vaccine diseases. Again, the context goes with immunization programs and vaccine and diseases. Once you understand the context, it becomes easy for you to select the right word. The off-vaccine diseases. What are the words that go with diseases? Right now, we all talk about coronavirus, outbreak. Now here, outbreak of vaccine, then you have to think of the next word also. Vaccine preventable diseases. One shot, you should get two words. The outbreak of vaccine preventable diseases. Outbreak of diseases. Which diseases? Vaccine preventable diseases. So there is no ambiguity. Incapacity not relevant here. Figure not relevant. Doesn't go with vaccine or diseases. Conjure, that's an important word. It means cause someone to appear, usually a spirit or ghost. Conjure means cause something or someone to appear. Usually someone here means spirit or ghost. Conceptualize, not relevant here. So what is the answer? Outbreak of vaccine. Collaboration, not relevant. Compensation, not relevant. Preventable diseases. Diseases, noun. Preventable, adjective. Depict, to project, to portray, not relevant here. Fantasize, not at all relevant. Fantasy, to imagine something that is not practical. Fantasize also means the same thing. Imagine something that is not practical. So what are the words? Outbreak of vaccine preventable diseases. I will not read out all those sentences where there is no blank. I will read out the sentence, the one before that. In the last case, usually licenses are not given for sale in the country. Every decision in life is in effect a cost-benefit decision. This is an important sentence. Every decision in life is in effect a cost-benefit decision. Means whatever decision we take, we look at the benefit. You do something, you spend money, and what is the benefit out of that? What benefit can you get? So we compare the cost of being what? Reinforcement, not relevant here. Reinforce means strengthen. Generally, I tell students, when you revise regularly, that will reinforce your knowledge, strengthen your knowledge, consolidate your knowledge. Not relevant in this context. Backing, not relevant. Cooperation, not relevant. Immunized. The context talks about immunization, diseases, vaccine. So immunized. So we compare the cost of being immunized to its benefit. Nurture, not relevant. Nurture means to take care of someone, especially a young child or a young animal. Nurture. Cost of vaccine includes not just the cost of the dose, but also the cost of the vaccine. Envision means visualize, not relevant in this context. Foresee or visualize. Perceive, to be aware of, again not relevant. Adopt, not relevant. The cost of delivering the vaccine. Obviously, you have to send the vaccine from the production unit to the patient, delivering the vaccine. The cost of delivering the vaccine seems right. Auscult, that's a medical term. It means The sounds made by internal body parts. Internal body parts make sounds, that is known as auscultd, not relevant here. Answer is delivering. Benefit is seen in terms of disease averted. This is a tough one. But elimination approach, you can get the answer. Eavesdrop, it's an idiomatic expression. It means listen secretly. Not correct. Asculate, auscultate, related words. The sounds made by the body parts inside. Ambiversive, you must be knowing the words introvert, extrovert. Introversive, extroversive. In between, we use ambiversive. When you come across the word ambi, you should think of two. Ambidexterity. Ambidexterity means what? Ambidextrous. Dexterous means skill. Dexterity means skill. Ambidextrous, a person who can write with the right hand as well as the left hand. Ambidextrous. And someone, I'm a left-hander. What is the word for left-handers? Southpaw. Southpaw means a left-hander. Not relevant here. Averted. Invent, no. Benefit is seen in terms of disease being averted. The word being is missing, but actual expression, disease being averted. That is in passive voice. It is understood. Answer is the fourth option, averted. Major considerations here are risk and accommodate, doesn't go with this context. Oblige, no. Oblige, obligation. What is the meaning of the word obligation? Obligation is something that you have to do because it is your duty or you have promised to do it. Not relevant here. Consideration, not relevant. Esteem means respect. There is one important expression, self-esteem. You should always have self-esteem. Severity, this goes with the context. A risk and severity of the disease being prevented and the effectiveness of the vaccine in preventing it. The fact that benefits occur in an unseen future. The noun future, what are the words? Indulge. It has a negative connotation. Indulge means to give oneself something that one likes or one gets pleasure out of something. Not relevant here. Harbor. As a noun, it has one connotation. You all must be knowing that. But as a verb, it has two different meanings. One meaning, to keep in mind all the time. Generally we say, don't harbor ill feelings, don't harbor fears. Another meaning, to provide the habitat to plants and animals. A typical example, the rainforests harbor exotic plants and animals. The rainforests harbor means provide the habitat for exotic plants and animals. Exotic means unusual, foreign, beautiful. That's an important word. So not correct here. Gratify, to give satisfaction to someone, to give pleasure to someone, not relevant here. Distant future, that's a typical combination. Spare, not correct. So what is the answer here? Distant future. While communities usually have some idea of the what? Abet. Abet is an important word. It goes with crime, but not relevant here. Abet means to encourage someone to do the crime or to be part of the crime, to accompany someone, abetting the crime. So not relevant here. Adjacent, next to, not relevant. Fabricate, to create, fabricate stories, create stories, not relevant. Fantasy, fantasize, imagine something that is not practical. Again, the context is disease. The severity of the disease, that is correct. Fifth option. The of risk, perception of risk is quite variable, that seems right. Perception of risk, how people perceive risk, that is quite variable. It differs from person to person. Ineptness means what? Lack of skill, not correct. Obtuseness means very slow or dull. It also means stupidity, not relevant. Denseness, not relevant. Envisage, visualize, not relevant here. So what is the answer? Perception. Differs from person to person. The last 5 questions, they deal with phrasal verbs. What is a phrasal verb? A phrasal verb is a combination of a verb and a preposition or an adverbial particle. These are not easy. But you should always try to guess based on contextual awareness, one thing, based on grammar knowledge, another thing. I was late twice last week, not a good thing, and my boss keeps. Imagine someone was late twice last week. The boss will be happy or unhappy. The boss will be obviously unhappy, and he keeps talking about that. This is the context. My boss keeps having on, not related to this context, but this is difficult. Have over, not correct. Hating on, not correct. Having against, not correct. Harping in, about it. Harp in means complain. Talk about something repeatedly. Complain about something repeatedly. In this context, you have to know the phrasal verb harp in, to complain again and again. If you don't know, then it is not easy to guess. This is a tough question. Do remember, phrasal verbs are very difficult. His rudeness, rude behavior, impolite behavior. His rudeness yesterday fits in of, this is not grammatically correct, what I have always thought of his behavior. Fits into seems right, fits out not correct, fits in with seems right, fizzle out, dilute. Fizzle means fizzle, in one of the meanings of that, bubbles. Fizzle out means to get diluted, not relevant in this context. You have to decide between the first option and the third option. Fits into what I have always thought of his behavior. Fits in with, matches. So based on that, the answer is the third option, not the first option. We are going to meet last night. We were going to meet last night. Context is past. We were going to meet last night, but she blew me off at the last minute. This you can get based on grammar knowledge. Context is past, and the verb here, blow, blew. It is in the past. Other options, not in the past, not in the past, not in the past, not in the past. Answer is obviously no correction required. But what is the meaning of the phrasal verb blew, blow off? In this context, in the past, blew off. It means ignore. Blow off means what? Ignore. Now let us see how it goes with the sentence. We were going to meet last night, but she ignored me at the last minute. Seems right? Answer is the fifth option. No correction required. This is a tough one, not at all easy. Gas reserves were drawn up in the recent cold spell. Something that happens for a long time. Dry spell, and dry spell, it goes with business. Cold spell, it goes with climatic conditions. Drawn up, if you don't know the meaning, it is impossible to get. It will be a wild guess. But you can use a few, you can eliminate. Were drawn up, the sentence is in past passive voice. I have already said any sentence in passive voice, the main verb is always in past participle form. So this is not correct, this is not correct. You have to decide drawn up, drawn in, drawn down. Answer is drawn down, means to withdraw, withdraw something. In this context, oil or gas reserves from a repository, from a reserve. Not that easy, rather difficult. Question number 90 goes with everyday context. I came up to the book in a little second-hand bookshop in the Dorset. Came up to. Again, if you know the meaning of the phrasal verb, you can make out. Otherwise, it becomes a wild guess. Conjure up. Already have given the meaning. Conjure means what? Cause someone to appear. A ghost or a spirit. Not relevant in this context. Came upon. Hold this one. Conk out. Not relevant. Contracts in. Not. You cannot use the present. I came up to is not correct. I came upon. Find by chance. What is the meaning of that? Find something by chance. So what is the answer based on that? I came upon. I found by chance the book in a little second-hand bookshop in Dorset. Now what is the enrichment from the model test? Whenever you come across the model test, first you try to get the answers. That is the top priority. Besides that, I always tell my students, ask the question, what else can I learn from this paper? There is so much to learn. Every mock test paper provides a lot of information, grammar point of view and vocabulary point of view. You have to spend a few minutes and you have to learn, you have to go that extra mile. Grammar point of view, what is the enrichment from this paper? Prepositional combination, venture into. Venture with is not correct. In this context, it is not correct. Venture with someone, then it is right. But in this context, venture into the sea. venture into the ocean. Relative pronoun who, not required in this context. And generally, there are two clauses, the main clause, the dependent clause. When the dependent clause talks about a person, we use a relative pronoun who, but in this context, not required. She is a student who always comes in time. She is a student, a person who always comes in time. Then it is correct, but in this context, not required. Article, a lack of knowledge. Generally, we don't use the word before the word lack, but here it is a phrase. A lack of knowledge is absolutely right, nothing wrong with that. And redundancy, revert back, is not correct. Based on that question, you should think of some important redundant expressions. Repeat again. All these are common errors in our country. Repeat means to say again. You cannot say repeat again. That is not correct. Return means to come back. Then you should not use the word back. And woman, widow, woman. This is rather ridiculous. Some people say that. Widow means a woman who has lost her husband. You don't have to use the word woman. Big in size. Big talks about size. You don't have to say in size. Red in color. Red talks about color. You don't have to say in color. 10 in number. 10 talks about number. You don't have to say in number. And this paper, a lot of effective words, 35 and another 10 or 15, I haven't listed out. All these words are very important. After the session, you have to spend a few minutes and look at these words, write the part of speech, write the meaning, write the word combinations, write the word forms, and write the synonyms. If you do that way, then in the long run, that will help you. But you listen to the faculty member and you make a note, just you get the meaning of a particular word. You stop there, you don't go beyond that. It is of no use, in my opinion. Do remember, when you prepare for competitive exams, you should have that competitive edge. A lot of candidates, a lot of students, they listen, they stop there. They get the meaning, they stop there. But you should be better than others. In a competitive exam, you don't have to be the best. You should be better than others. So how can you be better? How can you get that competitive edge? All these words are very important. They go with effective English. That means what? Each word you have to create the word profile. You have to write the part of speech, meaning, word forms, word combinations, synonyms, antonyms, usage tips. Then you're ready for the exam. And one of the reasons why I tell my students to do that, quite often in bank exams and competitive exams, they ask questions related to word forms and word combinations or collocations. And when you work on word profiles, that will help you in the long run. That's it from this explanation session. Thank you very much.